progressive metal quintet Dawn of Ouroboros released their sophomore album, Velvet Incandescence, in April this year and garnered immediate critical acclaim. Their marriage of sorrow-filled shoegaze textures with a ferocious black metal rhythm section and a drop-tuned death metal crunch has finally cracked the conundrum of the last 10 years. How to merge shoegaze with extreme metal. Many came before and failed, but now we have a bona fide triumph to analyse. Kirk Horton speaks to vocalist Chelsea Murphy and guitarist and songwriter Tony Thomas for a track-by-track analysis of Velvet Incandescence. This is a Scream Blast Repeat exclusive interview. Okay, so Dawn of Ouroboros, Velvet Incandescence, and you released that on the 21st of April 2023 via Prosthetic Records. Now, when I first heard this record, track number 1, Healing Grounds, I was instantly struck by the epic melody, that shoegaze texture of the opening guitar lick. And Chelsea, your voice is really almost sentimental. And it's hard, I think, for singers to really do that. But you then step on the distortion, and this goes really heavy. I mean, severely heavy. And I just love the whole journey of this song. There's even this really technical black and death metal riff in this that just seems to go through so many scales. It's just all over the place. So that's my thoughts. But Tony, can we start with you?
Sure.
Do you remember where you wrote this or where the opening to this song came from, what you were doing at the time?
Yeah, so that song was written or improvised with our drummer just at a rehearsal one time where, he just recorded and we just jammed it out. And so the full guitar intro was fully improvised, and the rest of the song I revised at home to kind of give it a little more structure than just a straight improvisation. But yeah, that one started fully as just with our drummer. He put a metronome and hit record, and we just played, and that gave it at least the skeleton of it.
Yeah, do you know, I think I need to congratulate you on one thing on this album. I have still never heard a band that has successfully mixed shoegaze, alternative rock with extreme metal. And one band does come close, and I know that you're a fan of them, Constellation.
Yeah.
Great band. I love that band. We reviewed them last year and gave them album of the week, I think it was, Magisterial Romance. But Chelsea, for you to get into the mood of this song, especially the effulgent beauty of that intro, do you do anything high-minded, like imagine you wandering through a field full of petals or anything like that? Or do you just somehow engage with the music?
So for that one, it was really a sentiment to wanting to go home, because we were in the transition stage of moving from California to the Evergreen State. So it's actually about basically when we get here, how it's going to be our healing grounds, because we had been through so much crap prior, and the time in between felt like forever. So that was my motivation for writing the lyrics the way I did, and kind of like that somber lament feel was important for me to kind of put into the music.
Yeah, that definitely comes through, doesn't it? There's a sense of agitation here, which is untamable, certainly in the dynamics. The drummer is really on top form here as well, Tony, isn't it? Did you say that you just jammed this out in a rehearsal room, the skeleton structure of this song?
At least the skeleton of it. The clean chords in the beginning I kept from the improvisation. A lot of the other parts I refined, but yeah, just like the basic structure was jammed out in a rehearsal one time.
Before we go on to track number 2, Testudinis, your other band, Kaliak Calling, is that how you pronounce it?
Well, that's probably more correct. Since we're American, we say Kalich, and we don't want to.
Oh, okay.
We don't want to sound like assholes trying to mispronounce something, so we just say Kalich.
It probably is that if it's a Celtic word, because I mean I can't pronounce a lot of the Brythonic languages.
I looked up the pronunciation once, and it's a way that I can't say. I would sound stupid saying it, so I'm not going to bother.
But that's straight up black metal, a lot of that, isn't it? So with this record, what were you listening to that gives it that more pastel colored timbre, to the music? Because it's clearly a conscious thing, isn't it? You could have just gone full on mayhem here on Dark Throne, but you've really thrown in a whole different color palette.
We're talking about Kailich here, is that correct?
Oh no, sorry. We are
back.
talking about Dawn of Ouroboros. That was just to say that your other band is a lot more black metal.
Yeah, that was meant to be more black metal. Just kind of always listening to a lot of different stuff. And I've been listening to metal, extreme metal, since 1998. So I've been through all kinds of phases of what like my primary interests were. Always coming back to black metal as being my favorite, which has the heaviest influence on what we do. But I'll listen to I listen to shoegaze, I'll listen to synthwave. I've had my progressive and technical death metal phases, which I've kind of have fallen out of in recent years, lost interest in that area. But I'd say more stuff that has like an emotional impact on me is what I'll take as an influence. It doesn't really have to be of any genre specifically, but if I can feel an emotional connection to it, that'll be something that I'll draw from.
Yeah. Track number 2 then, Test Udinese, and there's this live one-take performance on YouTube, Chelsea, isn't there, of you doing the song, which has got a lot of reactions. I've seen loads of people have responded to it and analysing your vocal technique. When I watch you in this song, you seem to have to go through so much imagined pain to get the words out. Is that just pure technique, because there's so much aggression in there that you just need to unleash?
Yeah, I mean, it really is more focusing on emotional feel rather than being super technically perfect with this band. So just pulling from anything within, to make sure the performance is the best it can be is what's really important. Is just to be emotionally vulnerable while you do vocals.
You've got to find a side of yourself that doesn't exist on a daily basis, haven't you? Is that, you've really got to. Does it have to be a dark place to get there? To really unleash these? No,
it could just be the passionate feeling of how much I love my cat. Like it could be anything. So
yeah, I think, Tony, what stands out for me on this, I guarantee no other metal band has done what you're doing in the guitar solo. So you've kept this atonal guitar passage,
right?
It's got a bit of melody in, and then you've played this like Iron Maiden solo over the top. I've never heard a band do that. They would just be playing normally the fifth chords, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah.
How the fuck did you manage to get that into a song?
the chords that we're playing are not really dissonant chords or atonal. They're within a key. They're just chords that aren't really used commonly with distortion. So I'll primarily use like seventh chords, or something that are more extended, that are more common in jazz music. And when it's a clean guitar, it'll probably sound a little more harmonious to people's ears. But yeah, it's still within a key, and the Iron Maiden solo is still harmonizing with those chords, so, if that makes sense.
It's great because when you hear the solo, the high register scale patterns, you just hear those seventh chords coming through. I suppose it reminds me, the first rock band I heard do that was the Smashing Pumpkins. They started including those, and I think they took an influence from My Bloody Valentine, didn't they? And then obviously you have Deftones. So I have heard it before, but I haven't heard it like that, where somebody has continued those chord sequences and then done a lead guitar over the part. But this song, to me, when I first heard it, I thought, okay, this is almost like something you'd hear. Let's use 1998, Tony, because I think we're the same age. You had MTV Super Rock, and you had, was it Alternative Nation, I think was the other one. And this would belong on Alternative Nation, but your drummer is playing like double kick drums as well. So it's just so all over the place, isn't it? Again, I just love the, you don't seem to give a shit about what the song ends up like. You're just like, we're going to put what we want in this composition.
You're definitely getting it. Is kind of the purpose of what we're doing is we've all had been playing in bands for a long time, and most people when they play in a band, I want to do this type of metal band or this type of metal band, and we wanted to do a metal band, but it's like let's just do what comes naturally. We're not gonna think about what style that we're trying to hear. Let's just play our instruments, and what it sounds like is what it's gonna sound like, and hopefully we can have some sort of coherent song structure in what we're doing. It just doesn't sound like randomness.
Yeah, it isn't. You're right. I wouldn't say it's chaotic. The emotions are really almost eviscerating, aren't they? But one thing that surprised me on this, Chelsea, we start to hear some more of your luscious voice. Why do you only give that style of your voice a cameo in Test Udines?
For me, I really like doing the more harsh vocal style. I think that was always the goal, was to have that be the 90% of the song is harsh vocals for most of our songs. And that's mainly because trying to do clean vocals on stage with Ron hitting as hard as he hits is very challenging. It's taken a lot of practice to feel confident at that. He just hits so hard and there's no stopping him. So it's impossible to hear myself. Even with the in-ear monitors, it can be still a challenge.
Yeah, I just love that cameo, to use that word, when it does come in. It really just adds color again, doesn't it, to that? Don't get me wrong, I want this to be heavy. Tony, I'm like you, extreme metal is mainly what I will gravitate towards. The track number 3, best song on the album for me, and this is the one where I knew straight away it was a record that was going to be an instant classic. So I'm talking about Iron Whispers. And to me, Tony, the interplay of those 2 clean guitars at the beginning, you could show that to Robert Smith of The Cure, and he would just stop what he's doing and say, "Who is this?" I just got those vibes, like Cocktail Twins, The Cure, the resonance of the guitars. Did you write both of those, or did the other guitar player counter your melody and write the other one before the distortion comes in?
I wrote both of those. A lot of the stuff was written before we had our other guitarist join the band officially. So this one was written a while back, actually.
Are you using any pedal effects there?
Chorus, reverb, delay.
Yeah.
Just nothing too complicated.
Your classic, I suppose, 80s, almost English alternative rock setup, isn't it? But I just love how the song then goes into one of the heaviest riffs on the album. There's a lot of like downward palm muting, isn't there? What tuning are you playing in for that when you go into the heavier stuff?
We're on 7-string guitars and we tune a whole step down. So I guess A would be the lowest string, or D standard if you count it as a 6-string guitar. Yeah,
there's some really severe death metal growls in this, actually, Chelsea, aren't they? Not like your emotional outcries of black metals. There's a lot more guttural technique in this. What kind of, do you ever find that shreds your voice doing that style?
No, definitely not. I have another band where that is primarily the vocal style I use.
Tegmentum?
Yeah, Tegmentum, yeah. So for me, I don't think it shreds me up. It just, Dawn of Ouroboros is very much a band that is more emotional on the high end for doing vocals. So I don't do a lot of the low end in Dawn.
Yeah, Tony, in other interviews, why do a lot of interviewers talk to you about improv? Is this something you're famous for?
That's kind of how we work. Like, all the guitar riffs would be written through improvisation, up recording and then like picking something I like the best out of that. But, I don't compose in, say, Guitar Pro or something. And all the guitar solos are written through improvisation.
You wouldn't think so. It sounds like you put a lot of time and effort into the phrasing of those.
I guess I'll do. Sorry. The way I'll do it is I'll improvise maybe 10. I'll just loop the section and improvise maybe 10 or so guitar solos, and then I will select the parts of those solos that I like the best, and then that will be what ends up being the solo on the album, or just a bunch of sections spliced together from 10 different improvised solos.
Do you ever worry that you won't remember, like, say you've got 10 solos,
Yeah.
and do you ever worry it's like, how did I actually play that? Do you ever worry that you can't replicate it?
With our writing, I don't tend to think about that. I'll just go back later and figure it out.
I like it. I think that's quite unique. I've not spoken to a songwriter that has such a micro attention to detail. I heard you say in another interview, was it Metal New York? What was it called, that channel?
Okay.
Yeah, really good interview. And you were saying you just, when you're not working, you're just writing songs all the time. And even if 90% of it's crap, that 10% is what you're looking for, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. I would feel that would be my approach to creativity. Tend not to wait to be like, oh, I feel inspired, I'm going to create something. It's just more like I just try to work at it all the time, a little bit every day. And, once in a while, I get something like, this is pretty good, that we should use this. But, I have files of recording projects that nobody's going to ever hear those.
Just one more thing before we move on to track number 4. On this song, when I was listening to it, in my left headphone, I'm listening to the guitars and I'm imagining, this like bearded death metaler spinning his head, playing these technical riffs. And then in the right ear, I'm imagining this shy, introverted art school graduate in an anorak just strumming his guitar. Somehow you managed to... That's got to be conscious, that, surely, hasn't it? I don't think could you spontaneously put those things together?
Yeah, because I guess that's what I did. I didn't think about that I want this to be heavy or I want this introspective layer to go over it. It's just kind of what I did.
It's just great. Just, to me, it has so much rationality behind it.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's very hard certainly for heavy guitar bands, it's very hard to marry the two. That's the challenge, right? Because, I know, Chelsea, you're into Alcest and bands like that, I assume, aren't you? Death Heaven, yeah, I didn't mind Sunburner. The last album I wasn't keen on, but they never got to where I wanted them to be. And until I heard Constellation and then this album, I was like, finally, there are artists that can do this, that can marry these two worlds. Because my all-time favorite band is The Cure, even though I listen to metal all the time. The Cure are my all-time favorite band. So I'm hearing the melodies, and especially in the intro to track number 4, Levitating Pacifics. So there's 2 things I want to discuss here. I'm going to get the lyrics up to this. I know that some of these are spontaneous, but there were some fascinating lines in this. And then I just want to discuss, there's this vocal outcry at the end, which is just incredible in this song. So it's this part here. Fear of morality, creating their own rules of acceptance, a slave to the guru, only visible to one, fearing their weightless hands so strong from a disillusioned brain, stuck in derealization, carving last words of wisdom. What are you addressing in this song? You don't have to tell me if you want to keep it cryptic.
Yeah, no. This song was written about a murder mystery case.
Right.
This guy that axe murdered his family, and it's just this crazy guy. And I don't know why I wrote about that, but it was just a case I was listening to and studying that I was really taken with. So I was just trying to write from his perspective.
What stands out for me on this song, I would say it probably does, it is almost as good, as Iron Whispers. There's this passage at the end that you've done, which starts off as spoken word. Don't take this the wrong way. It's almost as if you start to increase the intensity of it. It's almost like you're moaning. And then through sheer will, you just force this melody on there. And it just turns into this really this eruption of emotion. It's just incredible how you did you just. I don't think any singing teacher would teach you how to do that. Did you just by sheer force of will just force a fucking melody out of that towards the end?
Yeah, that was improvised. With our sound engineer, we're all just sitting here, and I was like, I was like, oh, give it another go, give me another take. I think I can do a little better. And then eventually, I think 3 times, and that's what came out. So
it goes really technical for a while, for a moment near the end as well, doesn't it? All of a sudden, you just start throwing in all the techniques like vibrato and going up octaves and belting. I think you're almost like belting at the end of that, aren't you? It's just, I remember when I heard it, I was on a countryside walk through the county of Hertfordshire in southeast England, and I was just coming to this gate where I'd walked through this field, and I just stopped, and there were these horses around me in this field. I'm just thinking, what is going on here in this song? I need to see the lyrics. It was just such a climax, and it's the emotion, isn't it? It's almost like I don't even care what the words mean, to be honest, because the emotion is just so overwhelming. So yeah, another standout moment for me on that, and that is such an unusual improv, as you say, and it works wonders. Track number 5 then, Rise from Disillusion. This is a video single, isn't it? Am I right in thinking?
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's a vocal performance of this, isn't there, that you've done the Prosthetic Records on their channel. So yeah, guttural undertones on this. What I like about this, your bass player, that's the guy who's in Red Rot, isn't it?
No, so
there's someone new
there. Our bass player, he has like a Alsace type band called Deliria that he plays guitar in, and then our member, who's our guitar player, is primarily a bass player, and he plays bass in Red Rod.
I'm swapped. You go straight into like the ferocious, high velocity black metal, don't you? In the intro to this one, there is a moment I can hear under the distortion. Is it me? The bass player seems to be playing neoclassical scale patterns.
Possibly, I can't recall.
You're gonna listen.
Those songs we listen to hundreds and hundreds of times, and then I would say now it's like I listen to them when we just them.
Yeah. No, I think that's normal, isn't it? Once you've done an album, you kind of do put it to bed, especially you guys, because you're playing this, you're touring it, aren't you, constantly? There's a good moment in this song as well. We have a reset to like a cleaner passage. It almost reminds me of Periphery.
Okay.
From the last album, Hail Stand, Satellites. Last track, you've captured a similar vibe. Again, really emotive. But you just seem to know, Tony, where to place the guitar solo in this and the next song, just at that right moment, when the emotions are running high and you're thinking, will it get any higher? So what were you, is this one, like you said, with your technique, you've probably recorded 10 different solos on a loop and then you've picked out the best parts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's how I do every solo.
Yeah, you've definitely put that in the right place. And then there's a ferocious finale of this, isn't there? Like venomous screaming towards the end. I think you're at your highest there, aren't you, Chelsea? That's quite severe.
Yeah, definitely a lot of high vocals in that song.
What's your background then? Is it? I think Tony, you said in a previous interview that Chelsea's background is it metalcore and rock?
Yeah. So let's see. I started out really in like a melodic death thrash band. So that was the first band that I was kind of taking seriously. Clearly I didn't stick with that, but I'm glad I didn't, because I met Tony, because I didn't stick with it. But yeah, my influence when I was like 16 to start trying to do vocals was As I Lay Dying. So yeah, that would be where the metalcore comes from. Tim Lambesis is kind of crazy, but his mid-range, he's a really good mid-range vocalist. I think that was a good place for me to start, so I could build outward from the mid-range.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And in terms of what challenges did you find just trying to do this spontaneous, almost like throat shredding black metal approach? What challenges did you find when you started to embrace that?
It definitely was something I wasn't used to doing as heavily at all, being in my previous project. So I found some fatigue with it, but I think over time I was able to like reteach myself how to scream in a way that protects my voice when doing the higher range. So now I'm fine. But when I was first starting with Dawn, it's like I had to study black metal and like really take the time to understand the emotional impact of the music.
Isn't it almost like a badge of honor, like in hardcore, to lose your voice doing this type of music? Like, don't ever admit that there's a technique to it. I was just like, no, it's just raw emotion.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really lose my voice unless I've been doing vocals for hours and hours and hours, and it's like, okay, it's time to rest. But yeah.
Track number 6, probably my joint favorite song, Castigation. We were talking off camera, Tony, about this. It's the motif, isn't it, that starts in clean mode. And then to me, I'm hearing a prog metal song here. Again, probably a bit more like Periphery, Rivers of Nile, that type, because you say it's 7-string guitars?
We play 7-string, and then this one is actually a drop tuned down to drop G with the low 7-string.
Yeah, it's my only criticism of this song, it's too short. I want it to be 5 minutes. Yeah, especially the main riff. It's like, come on, please go on for another 2 minutes. What's this?
An interlude type song, I guess, with its length.
No, it's too good for that. Don't get me wrong, an interlude has a place on an album. Yeah. I'm not accepting that. This is not an interlude. Well, although you wrote it, I can't tell you. But
hey, interpret it how you like, and
that's how you see it. Then,
too good. If you want to say it's too good for that, then
what's it about this song, Castigation? Because I know what the word means. Is this something left field, taken from a detective drama?
I'm trying to think what the heck I wrote about on that song. Like, I don't really remember.
Let's bring the lyrics up. It doesn't have to mean anything.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. So this is almost like the last sentence is kissing goodnight to a memory so sweet. My gratitude to have the chance to live so deeply. Hope ignites the thought of living again someday. Quite sorrowful, that, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that was mainly, I guess that song was kind of written towards family and like perceived loss. So just the appreciation for having the opportunity to spend so many memories and times with the people I love, and hopefully there's another chance sometime somewhere to be able to do that.
Is that not probably one of the hardest things to do in this type of music? To actually insert a sense of sorrow into a genre of music that's so aggressive? Because I mean, the band Tesseract, I think, are one of the few that can actually do that. Clearly, you're capable of that as well. Again, though, is that a conscious thing to try to insert that emotion into something that's really the complete opposite?
I think it is really important to be very emotional. So for me, it's just part of Dawn of Ouroboros is to bring forth a vulnerable sense of emotion. I wouldn't say that it's purposely any one way. It's just for me, it's just what it needs to be for Dawn. So
is there a chance then that this element could disappear from the music, say on your next album?
I don't think so, no. No, I think it's just part of what this band is at this point is the emotion and feeling put behind the vocals, in addition to all the excellent instrumentation that's written. So I think everybody's kind of emotional with their performance.
Yeah, I'm pleased that you see that as part of your DNA, in the music of this band. So track number 7, Cephalopodic Void. I hope I've pronounced that right.
Yeah, you did.
Yes. Oh, okay. So to me, the most death metal song on the album. But again, you're really playing with different dynamics here. There's a really good reset in here. And yeah, prog metal, progressive death metal I'm hearing. I said here, this feels like an effort to pray to God in the language of worship. Any God. It just seems to be aimed at something divine. Do you ever experience that emotion when you're playing? Almost like we're writing this for a higher power.
I don't.
No, you're concentrating on sweet picking.
But
so the reason we wrote this song was we had, for our album one, we had like a album pre-order contest where people would be put into the drawing, and what you would win was, like, one person won a t-shirt and then another person won to pick the lyrical theme of a song, and we'd write them a song. And so originally it was supposed to be a 1-minute song. That didn't, obviously we took it a little too far. So and that it was supposed to be a 1-minute song with the lyrical content of your picking. And then it ended up being an entire song that we put on the album. So
the lyrical content was cosmic horror.
Yeah. They picked cosmic horror. And so I picked to create this like story of a big fin squid that was just like in the universe and sucking power from the earth and go off of it that way.
So there are 3 innovations on this record there. Number 1, playing 7th chords and an Iron Maiden solo over the top of it. Number 2, this weird spoken word improv vocal that just forces a melody on itself. And then number 3, on this song, you invite fans of the band to just give you a theme to write about. Or did they? Is that correct? They would just say, okay. That is cool. What? Who is it? Only one song where you've done this?
Just this song, yeah.
Yeah, just this song.
Whose idea was that?
Mine. I was like, that'd be fun. Let's give it a go. And then I'm like, hopefully, they don't give us something terrible. And Cosmic Core was good, so I think we lucked out there.
I like how you it was a prize as well, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You should work in, maybe, I don't know what sector you work in. You should probably be in advertising or marketing. That's a great idea.
Thank you.
So we come to the last song on the album. Good video for this one. Velvet Moon, 6 minutes and 44 seconds. I like the sentimental piano notes at the beginning. And have you got some like backwards tape effects going on, Tony, to create? Yeah.
Just the piano part in reverse layered on top of it, actually.
Yeah, and then again, this kind of erupts, doesn't it? We've got one guitar player chugging away, and then the other one searching for the melody. Chelsea, when I watched the video for this, how difficult is it? I assume you've got to mime, haven't you, when you're doing a video?
Yeah. I'm not doing like the full-on vocals during the video.
How difficult is that? Because it looks like it's difficult to replicate your real voice, on that video.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I'm able to do the emotion and like the faces I would make during vocals just by kind of, like you said, miming and pretending to do it, but still pushing out air, but not necessarily pushing out the vocal. So that's how I do it.
Who filmed the video then? What was it like, the shoot for this video? Was it just like one day, or was it over?
Yeah. That was all done in our house in our backyard. Yeah. Just with lighting, and then we had our friend Carl from Vinnersea. He lives in Oregon, and he drove up for the weekend. He filmed both of those videos here primarily.
By the way, that's an album I've missed this year, that Vintersea record. I have it on my list. I can't remember which PR company sent it to, and I never got round to it. And then your mate Michael Ball and Ted Menton mentioned them. So I was like, I need to check these out if he's saying that this is a good album. Because I almost missed the Dawn of Ouroboros one. Prosthetic Records, Scream Must Repeat, we're signed up to the newsletter. We didn't get anything through for you. Every other band, the great albums from Pupil Slicer, Blindfolded and Left to the Woods, Death Goes, got all these things coming through. I didn't get anything for Dawn of Ouroboros. I don't know why.
Interesting, yeah.
But that's not a criticism of Prosthetic Records, by the way, because that is, along with Season of Mist, to me, that is the quintessential extreme metal label. You know, you get a record through from a band signed to that label, you're going to review it straight away. And most of the time, it's going to be an excellent record. Yeah. So Velvet Moon, this one does feel like a finale as well, doesn't it? It's a bit slower, certainly the intro as well. But there's a lot of like, towards the end, I was thinking of that band Liturgy, you know, that New York black metal band. And I think in my review, I said the band Liturgy will love this record. Do you listen to that band?
I do.
Did? Oh, okay.
I think it might be too anxiety for you as you.
Yeah, I'm outside of Tegmetum, I kind of listen to more chill stuff. So Tegmetum is sometimes even an emotional push for me. I'm just like, oh, okay, let's do this,
Yeah. Do you have a favorite song on this record then before we wrap this up? I know that's a difficult question, but
Either or.
Oh my God.
It's tough. I'll probably go with Velvet Moon. The meaning of it changed after the lyrics were written. For me, it was more about like a feeling of nostalgia, which was the emotion I got from it instrumentally. And then once she applies her lyrics, it gives it a whole different meaning. So probably have different explanations on that one.
Yeah, that one is written for my cat. So
very black metal.
yeah. So that's why she makes a little cameo in the video on my shoulder, because it's about her. So
do you know, it does make sense. A swift cohering to your chest, casting life on all the good that is left. Let the sea of promise flood your mind where you find it okay to die. Oh shit. that took me by surprise, actually, the last word of that. Velvet Moon. Yeah, another great song. So before we do wrap up then, is there anything you want to say to your fans, specifically your fans in the UK and Europe?
Yeah, I'd say our biggest audience would be in the UK and Europe over the United States. So, thanks to everybody that has taken the chance to explore what we do and obviously enjoy what we do, and show us the support that you've been able to show us. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, we really appreciate all the support, and we hope to be able to tour UK and Europe if we can get on a good supporting role for a band that's over there already. There's a lot of logistics that go into it, but hopefully we can make that happen eventually.
Yeah, I was speaking to Stuart, from Blindfolded and Led to the Woods. They're from New Zealand, aren't they? What an album that is, Rejecting Obliteration. And we agreed, it's like, if you and Pupil Slicer could tour, because they're from near here. I live near London, they're from there. But it would be great. Dawn of Ouroboros, Pupil Slicer, and Blindfolded and Led to the Woods. That would be my ideal lineup for 2023, or obviously
we're manifesting
it. I think I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Would it be easier for you to try and get maybe start on the festival circuit? Is that where you would normally, if you're booking a tour, look to them type of slots first?
I would say the biggest issue with getting over there is the cost that it is for us to go there and do that. The expenses are very high, especially since I think we would have to hire a backline crew and a driver and all that stuff. So if we could ever get to the point where we know that, hey, we're going to be getting enough money from the shows or festivals that we would pay to, not go in debt as a band or something like that, then we could justify it. But it's definitely something that we want to do, and hopefully we'll be able to make happen eventually, regardless.
Well, I would definitely be there. I feel one of the lucky ones, when you discover a band and you're thinking, why did I not know the first record? I've still not listened to your debut record because I've been blown away by this. I'm almost like, oh, do I want to listen to anything else by them just in case it's not as good? But yeah, this is phenomenal, this album.
It's us, but it's different,
Yeah, definitely different.
That's
yeah.
what we want to do is, always sound like us, but, not like, oh, it's this type of song again.
Yeah. I definitely feel like the second album is more refined. Even speaking personally on my vocal performance, I felt more comfortable doing album 2 by like a long shot, like completely different confidence. So yeah, I would say the album 2 for me is better, but album 1 was really important to get the foundational work laid down and understand what we're trying to do together, because it was just like a lot of it is just experimentation. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the Behind the Album series. Pleasure is all mine. And hopefully we'll speak again, and hopefully I'll be able to see you when you come to visit England.
Yeah, we'd very much be happy to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Manifesting it today.
Yeah.